Welcome back to another episode of Life in the Stands podcast. We have Jake and Zach on the podcast today. We're really excited to bring you guys a quick little episode, but we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. So, we are going to go over the NFL draft and kind of recap some of our favorite picks and also who we think might not work out. And we're also going to jump into some NBA playoff news, preview an upcoming series, and do some NBA rapid fire as well. So, before we jump in, thanks again for watching and listening. Make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're on. We really appreciate all the support and the listening. And with that, Bender, we're going to jump into our NFL draft recap. We're going to jump into what we're going to do is just kind of pick one player out of each of the first three rounds. We'll go back and forth, and then we'll also come up with some busts. But with that, Bender, go ahead and let's hear your favorite pick out of the first round.
First things first, I'm not excited about the way the Cowboys drafted, but I am wearing my Ezekiel Elliott t-shirt, so
Hey,
I am pretty
hey.
excited about that. But moving on here, we're not winning the Super Bowl either way, so it's fine. Um, Either way, we'll start with my first round pick here. Um, the best first round pick, at least team fit wise here for me, is Xavier Worthy, for the Chiefs. Round one, pick 28. And the reason I think this is the most important pick in this round is more just because they solidify that wide receiver room. That gives him some support, especially with Rashee Rice probably being suspended for over half the season. Reports say, if you follow Twitter, reposted it there. You can see that report on our account. However, now that you have a guy like Xavier Worthy, you bring that speed back in, and it replaces that Tyreek Hill yards after the catch kind of player for them.
Yeah, I like that pick for them as well. I think it's a good fit, for obvious reasons. You don't have to look that hard to understand why Xavier Worthy fits in with the Chiefs. With my first round pick that I think was my favorite out of the entire first round is actually old Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh taking Joe Alt at number 5. And we've had some discussion off camera about this. Bender really thinks they should have gone receiver. I really like the pick at offensive tackle. I think Joe Alt's generational. I think he's a massive guy that's going to bring a lot of talent to the edge in both the run blocking and pass blocking game. I think Justin Herbert's probably really excited about the pick, maybe more so than a receiver. Um, so I think moving forward, I think it's gonna eventually over the next couple of years really start to pay dividends as you start to see that whole offensive line kind of start to gel under Jim Harbaugh again. It's back to his roots and what I think he wants to turn that team into. So that was my favorite pick out of the first round.
Yeah, it definitely fits that team, but we'll get to that in a little bit here on why I think they should have went receiver. But no, my second round pick here is actually going to be A.D. Mitchell, and it's more because of the value that the Colts got in the second round from this. We valued him, if you watched or listened to our mock draft, we had him valued around like probably pick 27 or so, the pick that the Bills traded specifically. So him dropping into the second round as far as he did, um, especially behind a guy that I'll later on mention. I think that helps Anthony Richardson out as well when he comes back. So you have Pittman and AD Mitchell, and I'm happy to see that he went there with Richardson.
Yeah, we had AD Mitchell definitely in the back half of the first round. So to see him go in the second at all, I think is surprising. Really good value there for the Colts. They have a young offense that's very exciting. My second round pick that I thought was really interesting was Johnny Newton to the Commanders. And this is another guy that we had a first round grade on. When we did our mock draft, we looked at him as though he was graded above Byron Murphy as well. So we had him as really the top D tackle on the board. He drops into the second round, goes to the Commanders, who have kind of had a little bit of success now kind of making that their thing, drafting D linemen and kind of growing that in house. So I'm excited to see Jazon Newton, Johnny Newton in DC. I think that's going to be a good fit there.
I like that pick as well. I think the common theme here, especially with my next pick, along with the second round picks, is more that either we as a group in our mock draft that we did in the first round mock draft, um, or just in general, analysts kind of bringing up who the first round talents are dropping back in the draft to second, third, fourth rounds here is something to say. And um, it's kind of interesting how the draft even fell because you and I were talking about how like once Penix was picked at number 8 to the Falcons, things just kind of like pushed itself back.
Yep.
So guys got drafted in later picks or rounds than expected. But moving on here to fit the theme, I actually had Peyton Wilson as the best third round pick here, and I think Zach's happy about that one with the Steelers. Um, I agree with some other people on this one. I think he's going to be the next Luke Kuechly, and learning from a guy like Patrick Queen, I think will really help him. And being in that stacked offense, offense defense, that stacked defense. Um, I think he'll have a great opportunity this year as a rookie to learn. And I had him being drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round in our mock draft, and he fell third round. So
Yeah, he did fall all the way down to pick 98. He's almost a triple digit pick. You mentioned in the beginning of the episode you were not too happy with the way the Cowboys drafted. I was very happy with the way the Steelers drafted. I feel like we're going to beat people up moving forward, and that excites me, which feels like there's something like wrong in your head when you say that out loud, but that's football. Anyway, I think that realistically, this Peyton Wilson pick, it's whether or not he can stay on the field, right?
yeah,
And learning from Patrick Queen is going to be of great benefit to him, but it all goes back to that injury history. But the nice thing with that too is that every time he has been injured, he's come back, he's played at a high level, he's done really well, he's been able to recover quickly, but he's also been very young, and you can't do that for forever. So even a guy like Patrick Queen, though, who has dealt with a little bit of injury history himself, maybe there's some guidance and some wisdom that can be passed down there. So my third round pick that I really liked before we get into the busts is actually another Michigan pick, Blake Corum going to the Rams. I think that Blake Corum to the Rams is a really good fit. I think he's almost a carbon copy of Kyron Williams. It also signifies that Sean McVay is really leaning into that gap interior kind of run scheme instead of the wide zone and the outside zone that we're used to seeing with the Todd Gurley and Jared Goff style of Rams offense. So I'm excited to see what Blake Corum can do there. There's no real bell cows in the NFL anymore. So pairing Kyron Williams with Blake Corum, I feel like that's just like there's not going to be a ton of drop off. You're going to be able to put two different backs out there and run the same things, be multiple, not give anything away, and expect the same level of output. I think that's really good for the Rams.
yeah, I think that's a really cool fit. That's what I'll call it. I had him in regards to fit. Best fit would be Chargers or the Rams, and he went to the Rams. So I'm happy that he's in a good situation, at least over with McVay and his coaching style. Getting into the bus here, I actually had Lad McConkey going to the Chargers in the second round, I believe second pick of the second round here.
Right.
Um, and here's where I'm kind of thrown off by this, and it's not that I'm questioning his talent. His injury history is kind of fishy to me, and you don't know if he'll actually stay on the field. That wide receiver room is already kind of weak. Um, but the other part of this is I think they settled. You like the Joe Alt pick. I think they should have went Neighbors. It almost seemed like Neighbors thought he was going to get picked at that spot because he was kind of down in the dumps about going to New York, which I think is kind of funny. Um, so sorry, bud. You're not going to have a quarterback for the next 3 years now. Um, but no, I think it was more of just like they settled that I'm more disappointed in that pick more than his actual talent.
I can see where you're coming from with that because at the end of the day, I think there probably was an opportunity to get a higher rated prospect than Lad, even though in any other draft, Lad McConkey would be considered a top 3 or 4 wide receiver probably. This class was stacked with them. So, I do think that neighbors might have thought that he was going to LA. I also think that part of his reaction to going to New York is almost why I picked him as a bust because I don't know that playing in New York with Daniel Jones, with the other pieces of the offense that are now there without Saquon Barkley, if he's going to be able to be that productive either. So, but I didn't pick Malik Neighbors as my bust. I didn't do that. I picked Drake May as my bust. And I picked Drake May
Good
as
one.
my bust for some of the same reasons. He's going to go into a Patriots organization with a rookie head coach in Gerard Mayo, who I think was put into place without like any other real candidacy or like it seemed like there was like some sort of succession plan, right? Where that just happened like immediately after Bill Belichick was fired.
It's
So I
like an
don't
in-house hand-me-down.
Right. So I don't know if that was really the best thing for their organization to kind of break out of the mold that they need to break out of. And drafting Drake May, like what other talent is really in New England right now? I mean, Zeke just signed with the Cowboys again. Like,
I'll
there's not
say
a lot
maybe
there.
Stevenson at running back, and even then you still don't have receivers. Juju's still Juju, and
Right.
whatever else they have over there. So
I think Kendrick Bourne resigned, but yeah, either way, there's not a whole lot of talent there. So I struggle with Drake May going into that organization and just immediately lifting them up. And there's also a lot of a lot of research now coming out about if prospects are played too early before they're really ready, especially at the QB position. It's better to just hold them out a year or two and then put them into play. I'll Jordan Love.
yeah, I'll say a lot of that's in play because of Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers and all those kinds of situations. Patrick Mahomes,
And Michael
specifically.
Penix. And
Yeah. Kirk Cousins, have fun, buddy. I mean, Kirk Cousins acknowledged Penix, by the way. Like he's not upset about it. Like, I think he understands, but I think it was more just he never got the heads up.
yeah,
But either way, here, I think we both have pretty interesting ideas of busts and booms, if that's what you want to call them at this point. But I guess we'll just have to see. And I think teams still have to put their schemes together and kind of figure out how to use these guys. Because at the end of the day, talent's talent, but if you don't have coaching, you see what happens. So,
exactly.
but we are going to transition here. We are going to get into some NBA rapid fire. Zach's going to ask a series of questions here. I'm going to have to answer pretty quick, or he'll scream at me or do something. I don't know. He's unpredictable. But we'll get into it whenever you're ready.
All right, Bender. First question. If Jimmy was playing, do the Heat win the series against the Celtics?
Yes, because they're very inconsistent. The Heat have always had their number, in my opinion. I think that's a team that the Celtics tend to struggle with. I think if they would win, it would be in seven. I think if Jimmy plays, it would at least go to seven. And I think that's where you get your 50-50 shot. And I think they knock them out again.
Yeah, very nice. All right, if you had to trade one of the three Suns superstars, which one are you trading?
I can only pick one.
No, pick one. Yeah, keep two of them.
God damn it, dude. All right. This is gonna be sad to say. Um, because we're playing them currently as a Sixers fan, I would trade Devin Booker to the Knicks, specifically the Knicks, because the Knicks I think are gonna try and put some kind of like crazy trade package together this offseason from what I'm seeing. Ever since the Suns lost the other day, I think a lot of rumors have come out now, and there's a lot
Rapid
of
fire Bender. Rapid fire
sorry,
Bender.
sorry.
But no, that's a good answer though. Devin Booker to the Knicks is the one out of the three you traded. All right. Where do you think LeBron James plays next season?
Miami Heat. Next question.
Oh shit, Miami Heat. Okay, that's a fun one. Who has the brighter future, Nuggets or Thunder?
Thunder. I think the Nuggets will eventually lose some guys, whether it's injury, age, or just money.
Cool. All right. Last question, and this is a great sort of feeder into our next topic, which is where we're going to discuss the Nuggets and T-Wolves series, which is going to be an amazing series in the second round. Do you think Anthony Edwards or Nikola Jokic can be slash deserve to be the face of the NBA?
When you talk about the face of the NBA, I think you need to have that personality and some kind of like drive to you. Um, Winning's a big factor. Minnesota won a lot of games this year. They're obviously making noise this year. Um, I think personality wise and play shows Anthony Edwards should be the face. Joker's good, but he's very laid back. Like, I don't give a crap. He wasn't even worried about his title celebration last year. He was like, let's go watch some horse racing or whatever the frick he was doing. But I would say Anthony Edwards.
All right. I think a lot of people would say Anthony Edwards at this point. And again, that's a good segue. So let's jump into our sort of series predictions for Nuggets and T-Wolves. This is going to be a great series. I'll say right off the bat, I think it could easily go 6 or 7 games. I think that might be the most likely scenario that it's going to go to 6 or 7. I don't see one of these teams losing in less than 6 games.
No, and I believe the Nuggets beat the T-Wolves last year in 5 games. I think it was. So here's the deal. Anthony Edwards was not the same guy last year. There were some injury situations last year. Gobert and Towns first season together, trying to figure out how to make things work. Whatever the case was, I think they finally figured it out this year. They finally had time to build that chemistry. It's really tough to choose a winner in this one, just because if you're a fan of just basketball in general, you like both of these teams to advance. But can only have one winner. Um, I'm gonna say T-Wolves in seven, and I'm just gonna ride the wave on that one. Um, T-Wolves are the team that have the size to go against the Nuggets. I don't think the Nuggets have any worse matchup than the T-Wolves at this point. If they pass the T-Wolves, I think it's an automatic to the finals for them. Um, but yeah, no, I think the size kind of gives them that chance, and the defense gives them that chance to advance.
I was going to mention their defense too, because I think that is a big determining factor in this series. Just because I mean the Timberwolves do have the number one rated defense, and they have multiple guys that you can throw at Jamal Murray, and Anthony Edwards loves that smoke, right? He wants to jump in, he wants to guard Jamal Murray, and then I just watched Gobert like guard KD and Devin Booker on the perimeter in this last series and like not totally get fried. Like they're able to keep Gobert on the floor a little bit more than what he's been able to in previous playoffs. So I think
If
that's very different too.
if you go and watch Draymond Green on his podcast, he actually was talking about how Gobert has gotten better on defense. When he was in Utah, it was a lot of drop coverage, like the lazy way of playing defense as a big guy.
The
Now
Joel
you see him step up, and it's almost like a hard hedge or a switch, which is kind of cool to see his like progression in
Mhm.
that sense. And I think that's really helping out that team. And I think he's allowed to do that because you still have talent on the backside.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the thing. Like they'd rather have both of those guys be aggressive out because the chances of both of them having to rotate out to a shooter and giving up a dunk is probably pretty low. Like one of them is going to be able to get back to the paint. So if one of them needs to make a play on the perimeter, they can kind of overextend and they're able to do that. So yeah, like you said too, their size. So talk about their defense a little bit, but their size as well. Having those two guys plus a Jalen McDaniels, and then I don't know if Kyle Anderson is
He's
gonna
back now.
he's
He,
gonna
he
play.
played the last game of the Sun series.
Yeah, so he's gonna play in this series now. Who's another just lengthy wing. Can match
That'll
up
help against MPJ. That'll help against Porter.
MPJ, help against Aaron Gordon. Just like there's bodies, right? There's bodies on the Timberwolves that can do that. So I do agree that out of any matchup the Nuggets wanted to see, this is probably the last one, and they probably feel pretty confident about any Eastern Conference team that they're gonna run up against. So I mean, this is it. Even if they play the Celtics, like
Celtics have size though. They have the Horford Kristaps thing because I think if the Celtics make it that far, Kristaps will come back from that
it's true.
soleus strain.
That's true. But
Either way, that's something to
even
talk
so,
about in the future.
yeah, in the future. But even so, I think the Timberwolves still, pound for pound match up better with the Nuggets than the Celtics do.
Yeah. Real quick question for you. Just because you've seen this on two game winners now, um, with the Nuggets. It's going to be like a little mini my coach thing here for you. So I'm going to give you a scenario.
All right, all right.
You have the Jamal Murray and Joker pick and roll. How are you playing that as the Timberwolves? Not as the Lakers. Lakers are done for. If you're in a game-winning situation again against the Timberwolves, because I don't expect there to be blowouts, to be honest with you. So if you're in a game-winning situation, how are you playing that on defense?
Yeah, that's a good scenario. So, I mean, I think you got to start with the fact that Jamal Murray doesn't take the shot.
Okay.
I think that's the number one thing you have to base your scheme off of. And if that means that you have to give the shot to Jokic, I think you still do that. You make him win a game. You make him win one, and you don't let Jamal Murray take that shot. So the way I would play that is, I mean, because Jokic is also most dangerous as a passer, right? And so I'm picturing that top pick and roll. First thing I'm gonna do is trap Jamal Murray. Like I'm gonna immediately trap the ball screen. What's gonna happen is Jokic is gonna fall that into that like mid roll area, and from there it's gonna be 4-on-3. And what the Nuggets always do in that situation is send Aaron Gordon along the baseline for a lob threat, and you put both your shooters in the corner, probably KCP and Michael Porter Jr. So what I would do honestly is I would probably tell everyone you're going to stay home. We're gonna
And
and honestly, I'm probably putting like Jalen McDaniels on Jokic.
so
I'm like firing him out.
Are we making Joker shoot that little floater in the mid range?
Exactly. And I'm saying
Okay.
Joker make a midi or a floater or some sort of like touch shot around the free throw line because I'm not gonna let Jamal Murray take it, and I don't want Jokic to make a crazy pass to someone who's wide open to take it either. I'd
I just want
rather.
to ask the question because that pick and roll is the most unstoppable play in the NBA right now, in my opinion. Because
Especially from
just
the
because
top.
of the
Yeah.
way their team's built and the
Right.
way Joker plays. Because if
Right.
you now here's your situation, right? So like you brought up the 4-on-3 and like on the backside, you have the trap on Jamal Murray off the ball screen. Even if you rotate Towns off of Aaron Gordon to step up on Joker, you still almost need to pinch somebody on Aaron Gordon, and then you're leaving a 3-point shooter open.
Yep.
So what do you want to leave open? Do you want to leave the wide open 3-pointer? Do you want to leave the wide open lob? Do you want to leave Joker for the mid range? Like you almost have to look at percentages at that point and be like, okay, if for some reason we're in this situation at the end of the game, do we make KCP take that shot in the corner? Do we make Porter take that shot in the corner? I don't know what I'm doing there. Like I
Yeah.
personally, I like the way that you said it just because mid-range and floaters are not a high percentage shot. But at the same time, if it's a game that's tied, give up a three-pointer might not be a bad idea either.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's why I also said like I'm just gonna make Jokic beat me one time at least because Jamal Murray's obviously the guy that's taking the end of game shots. So I'm gonna see if he can beat me once. If he does beat me once, then I'm probably making the move where I'm like, okay, you got to get it to one of the corners, and we'll go from there or something. But with that, it's been a great episode. We appreciate everyone again for watching and listening. Keep your eyes out for Kyle's and Bean's articles. Those come out on Twitter. Remember to go follow us on Twitter as well. We're super active on there and we'd love to interact with you. Appreciate everyone listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.